Chocolate on boobies, chocolate on her boobies. Nobody tell me today. Riding them boogie, chocolate on her boobies. That's my remix. What's that song? Gonna take my horse. Welcome back to another episode of Cosmic Nomad Rebel Souls. That's not what this shit's called. Welcome back to another episode of Dream Chasers Insanity. Thank you for sparing the little time that you have today, escaping your current reality to enjoy some of the nonsense that I have to share with you today. Before we get started, I know it's the attire is pretty unfamiliar. Hopefully you like it, but I'm not going to take this time to do anything but give myself a little self-promo. So we're going to showcase the catalog right here, Cosmic Nomads Rebel Souls.shop. Go ahead and get you some merch. We would greatly appreciate you for contributing to the channel. And if you can't do that, just go ahead, like, subscribe, comment. Go ahead and participate in our community that's growing every single day. We're very thankful to have somebody like you participate with people like us. But again, don't want to get too much into that. We know we give you the updates every week. If you're somebody that tunes in all the time, long-time viewer, we appreciate you. We know it might get a little monotonous, but hopefully you understand. We're hustlers, baby. Self-promo is the key to our success. So hopefully you can forgive me for all of that. But not to take too much time away from the main thing, go ahead and check out our board. And we're about to get right into this video. All right, I hate to be the bearer of bad news because I know your YouTube channel won't tell you, but this video found you through the algorithm because you're a loser. No, I'm playing. I'm totally playing. I don't know why this video found you. Hopefully you're not looking up videos as to like how to get friends and whatnot, because you deserve love and respect even if you're alone or you're going through a little period of solitude in your life right now. Don't ever feel any less than just because the outside life doesn't reflect the love and the care that you have for yourself already. Sometimes we go through those periods in our lives where we lose friends, we lose relationships that we were leaning on, we lose dependence on the expectations that we had or the materials that we had. But it's all necessary for us in the process of constantly growing and shedding into the person that our destiny needs us to become so we can fulfill that while we're here on earth. A lot of these lessons, those who have experienced them, this will resonate so deeply, but those who haven't experienced them yet, your life circumstances will give you an opportunity to apply these lessons and to make more sense out of them. So your real life, the one that you're truly living in, can have that connection to you. And this can help you not make some drastic decision in your regular life because you don't understand that you're just living through a phase, my friend. This isn't the end of the world. This isn't you're so ugly, nobody wants to date you. This isn't you're so annoying, nobody wants to be your friend. You're just going through a phase. And if you can look with the optimism, with the positivity of somebody who knows your strength and your power and your goodness, and you know that anybody who has the opportunity to hang around you, to be around somebody like you, it's a blessing and a privilege, then you're not only going to not worry about people not, just sucking on your toes every second of the day, but you're truly going to be able to have the discernment to see the people that appreciate you for who you are and the people that appreciate you only for who you are to them, and how are all the ways that you do serve them. I had a spiritual awakening and I lost all my friends. How many of us can say that has happened to us? Those of us who've truly gone on our spiritual awakenings and have had to endure some of these reality shattering experiences can definitely relate to that. And what's funny is that so many of us in our society, we've just been collectively so fortunate to be so convenienced in our lives that we don't understand the true sacrifice and the true strength it takes to commit to change and to growth and to healing in this life. It causes us to literally sacrifice the identity that we think we have of ourselves to become who we're supposed to be. And that process is very scary. That process is traumatizing. That process hinders a lot of people from becoming who they are supposed to be. But it's okay because our society has created a bunch of different little subsectors that will still continue to validate you and make you feel entitled to things that you don't deserve, even if you haven't done the work that would put you in the position to attract them and align with them at a much easier level than you are in your current reality. Remember, there's only so many horrible experiences you can have in your life until you realize that there is one common denominator, and it is you, the observer and the experiencer, or forgive me, the receiver of the experience. And if you can have no control over everything that's going and happening to you, the one thing you control is how you're receiving it and how you respond to the circumstances being given to you. And the better you respond, I promise the better circumstances you will be given, the better cards you get dealt, the more you learn the game. And it's actually you are more fortunate to learn from the bottom up, truly building yourself up and learning from people for who they really are up to the top, rather than being given gifts, being given blessings, being given opportunities that you aren't prepared to truly appreciate and utilize for the fullness of what they can do for you. All right? So many of us, I say that, forgive me, I'm kind of going in a couple directions here. Don't be afraid. Again, I've already covered this, but don't be afraid if you are enduring that solitude that is, you've awakened, gone through your, little traumatic, or if you're one of these people fortunate enough to go through 11 light spiritual awakening, go through the process and your old life doesn't make sense. Your old clothes don't fit. Your old friends feel like strangers. Your old identity feels like your adversary now instead of like your accomplice. And you're like, what the heck? Like, am I just going to be forced to conform to this old life that I created for myself that I feel claustrophobic in? Or is there really more for me? And am I not being delusional? Am I being just real? But so real that the dreams that I have that so many people don't even consider touching in this life, those have also become real, and real enough for me to actually make sense of actualizing them into this life. And for that to even have an opportunity to happen, I have to assume a different reality. Not only assume a different reality, I have to straight up create a different reality and allow this new person that I'm becoming through my experiences, through accepting my experiences and accepting the process of me becoming somebody, so that I can align with this new reality. And the unison of that can be so great, I don't need to go back to these old ways of living. I don't need to fear never being able to make it into this new life. And also, I don't need to fear going through these events, because I understand that these events where it seems like my outer reality is shattering, where it seems like I'm losing more and more control of my outer world, gives me a more and more and more of an opportunity to focus on the things that I can take care of and manage within my own self and my own life. And in better being able to focus and to do that, I can then put myself in the best position to take care of or contribute to what is happening or what needs to be done in the outer world. Okay. The way that traditional, socially accepted society goes about making friends, I believe, is, I've written here fear based, but is truly more shame based. The fear of missing out culture, the constant crabs in a bucket needing to tear people down to feel higher and better about yourself, than lifting yourself up by actually building brick by brick the podium that you seek to stand on. The competition for external validation of people who have supposedly made it in a broken society, but they've made it by making it way harder for other people that are dependent to them to live and take care of their own families and lives. The constant chasing of validation, the chasing of this identity that never will exist because this system wants us on the rat race. It doesn't want us getting to a destination, much less being able to take care of ourselves at a stable, secure, consistent rate. Because if we could do that, then we would maintain that rather than constantly chase infinite growth and infinite profits and infinite capitalism. But I don't want to make this too much about capitalism. I want to make this about you not having friends in this society, this very individualistic, hyper-consumer, rabid dog society. If we're all making friends, if we're all finding community in these ways, I can't call this a community. And I talk about this a lot, but it kind of gets a little bit of backlash. America, especially white America, has no culture. They just have trends, which are them funneling through the process of commodifying somebody else's culture or calling something interesting because they do it and they want everybody else to appreciate it. And that inherently destroys not only any bit of authentic culture that the people can value and appreciate, but it destroys the communities and devalues the communities that create these cultures, literally only leaving a world for people to consume this boxed up, commodified, devalued culture and then lock it in a box for 30 to 50 years and resell that package through nostalgia. If we don't know or we haven't found a new culture we could commodify and corrupt in the meantime. Yeah, makes me kind of sick. But again, I don't know if I've addressed it yet. Hopefully I haven't. There's no, in this old way, this traditional, if you want to call it, matrix of society that we're living in, communities aren't being built or cultivated, and there's no communities to seek. These are cults. There are leaders who exploit ridiculous amounts of power from the community and exchanging. I keep making this video. Every time I talk about capitalism, I say this. When the leaders of your society are going to all the people and saying, you all have ones, we have zeros, but to exchange your one with our zero, we're going to tell you that this zero is going to turn into a two tomorrow. Just give us the one today and this will turn into a two tomorrow. The zero I give you is never going to turn into a two. I just have to somehow put you in a position to think that it will and to keep believing it and to keep being stupid enough or ignorant enough or naive enough to believe that it will turn into a two. And it never will. And I keep collecting all the ones that you make and I say, you know what? The more ones you give me, the more zeros I'll give you. And the more they'll turn into more twos and maybe you'll have just as much money as me one day. Maybe you'll have just as much value as me one day. But you're giving 100% of yourself to me and I'm giving you hopes and dreams in return. To create my real empire with your real value and real wealth. And then me giving you compensation is the illusions of wealth that are crumbs off the table that I'm fully eating off of. sometimes not even finishing because this abundance is meant to be shared with the world and not meant to be hoarded by certain people or groups or families or different lineages. My bad. That's just me getting angry about how capitalism doesn't even let us have conscious community, much less community at all. But how are you to find friends as somebody having gone through this spiritual awakening, having not killed, because you can't kill your ego, that's a lie, but having shattered your ego to a point where you are forced to accept that we are one. This oneness is true. And those who hate the oneness and want us divided and separated and cut off from each other, and in these cult communities that don't serve the collective, don't serve the world, but only seek to prove their supremacy or prove how much they can save everybody with their psychosis. How are you going to go about finding these friends? Well, first, it starts with cultivating that self-concept within, understanding who you are in your mind and your body and your soul, and the life, the world, the environment outside of that complex that you would like to cultivate your human being in. You have to have some kind of idea of that. The more clear you are, the easier it will be to connect yourself to that reality and start closing the distance in between you, the life you want to live, the friends you want to have, and who you are right now. Not needing to run into any direction, scared and confused and lost, but just closing the gap in between you and the dream or the goal. And in this case specifically, it's to find friends and develop real sense of community in a world that doesn't truly allow everybody or a decent amount of people to have access to that. Authentic to the growing, developing version that you are. Never allowing any kind of fear, insecurity, or conformity or codependency to any kind of false pseudo culture or pseudo society, because we're living on a military base, to stop you from growing and digging your full authentic self into this reality. You're going to have to approach even getting to these types of people, these friends, these communities, completely differently than you would if you were looking for friends or for community, this old school, very neurotypical way of accessing community, again, which I don't believe exists in cultures that are damn near completely dependent on systems of oppression, because they've actually never had the time to create any culture because they've just exploited every fucking thing. Like when the parasite eats the whole entire body, what is left? The host is dead and the parasite soon after. But if we, the body, can treat the parasite in our society that is creating this kind of issue, where majority of communities are like this, if we can treat the parasite, then the parasite doesn't have to sacrifice our whole entire body to serve itself and then find a new host. We can cut this parasite out for everybody, so nobody has to deal with this. And in taking the time to heal ourselves from what the parasite has put our society through, go look up my Fear of God matrix, then we can start creating pillars and institutions that reinforce this type of community development and alignment with conscious beings. And again, I kind of got on a tangent there. I get angry after I go on tangents. I apologize. But you have to go with a different perspective building this new form of community, especially to complement yourself without getting too claustrophobic and without being too distant and really eventually domineering over other people. Because it does become very easy to be this person who gets here. And if you're the only person in your family, in your community, in your people to be pursuing this kind of lifestyle, it's very difficult for people who haven't experienced this or don't know what this is, it's very difficult for them to receive you, especially if all they know is the version of you that was chasing this and that was establishing your whole identity into this shoebox of a set in stone character. We've addressed this maybe a minute or two ago, but you've got to come with the growth mindset, knowing that we aren't just who we are. We are constantly in this process of learning, growing, becoming, and we constantly have the opportunity to become the person or the people that we desire to become and the person that we need to be. Constantly, constantly, constantly. And growing, like there's this grind set culture. Capitalism fuels into that. And also this white supremacy fuels into it with this false sense of meritocracy, where white people can look down at everybody who's never been humanized and say that we're lazy because we aren't accessing the same privileges and opportunities that they have immediate access to via white supremacy and white privilege. But again, we don't like having that conversation ever. And then we never find out what the fuck the answers are. But you're welcome. I have to drop that on you. Sorry. Growth doesn't always mean grinding, doing stuff, needing to, that is like hyper patriarchal, white supremacist self-development. Growth can mean healing. Growth can mean letting people go. Growth can mean trying new hobbies. Growth can mean starting a new career. Growth can mean anything, growing, expanding the soul in the body, in this reality, in this life. You only do two things. You're getting better, you're getting worse. In this sense, you're growing in this reality or you're decaying to your death. You decide what you're doing at all points of your waking reality. If you have the opportunity to choose between growth and decay, choose the areas and the avenues that allow you to grow, especially growing authentic to yourself. So when reality starts to change itself and people start to lose sight of who they are, you always know who you are because you are always giving yourself the space and the validation to grow into being yourself and adapting that version of yourself to a way that's conducive to how society is formatting itself. Because regardless of how amazing you are, you're going to have to conform a little bit to society to be able to feed yourself and let that version of you grow. Next is your relationships need to go from complementing your ego, complementing your social status and your external validation, your ability to be validated by massa. That's master. And start complementing your future, your destiny, the legacy that you seek to lead. And a lot of people, regular, like everyday people, have access to so little. We think that our legacy is like what we do for our job or how long we're married in a relationship or what is it? Our kids, the kids who hold our last name. No, your legacy could be literally your whole entire life. The way that you go to understand your past, the way that you cultivate your present, the way that you direct yourself into your future. It could be all the different aspects. It could be you pursuing a different hobby, a different career. I know I said it wasn't, but it is. But before I go off into another tangent, because I'm trying to correct myself, which I'm learning to not care to do, because if you understand me, you understand me. If you don't, you can always ask for further clarification. These relationships need to be complementary to the person that you're becoming. The reinforcement that you're getting needs to be complementary to the person that you're becoming and the lifestyle that you want to live. Let the people around you and the environment around you reinforce your priorities. Let it respect your priorities. Even when you can't motivate yourself, when you can't find the inspiration to be the person you need to be, let your external reality help you do that. Help remind you, yeah, I'm that person, I'm that guy, I'm that girl. Like type shit. And the final thing is that you can't just find relationships that are only serving your journey. That can become very narcissistic very quickly and usually ends up being for a lot of people. That's how we have these spiritual cult leaders. People who think they're here doing this, but because all of their audience and all of their fans and community are these people who are living vicariously through the person who made it here, this person is basically just taking advantage of a bunch of these people rather than aligning themselves with a bunch of these people to hold their ego in check, but also allow them to connect with the spiritual language that can allow the collective consciousness to continue to expand. And the people who work in this group can then share with these people to free them from this and bring them to this side on their time, so they can have the power that comes with taking responsibility for their own lives, waking up from their own enslavement to their own situation, and being able to receive the blessing of the consequences that come with taking responsibility from whatever you gave the power of your life and yourself to, putting it back in your hands and using that power to create a reality that you don't have to run away from. You don't have to escape with drugs, with alcohol, with sex, with money, with anything. You utilize the gifts of your life to continue to invest in this life that you love and appreciate every day. An identity that you have grown to not only create, but respect every day. And again, I didn't really finish that thought, but you need people who are at mutual emotional and intellectual depth with you. You might not always be able to find them, and you might not have a bunch of people to do that with, but I promise you, you need people to hold that ego in check. Those of us who have survived this stuff to make it here, like just surviving this, from this to this, while having a society that forces people to stay here, and you have to choose and be responsible for yourself on this side, that's a blessing on its own. Now, you must find other people that are pursuing this kind of journey and have their own internal inspiration connecting them to this path. Okay? And it's difficult, of course, but like surviving tower moments and the dark nights, oh my God. Ego deaths, surviving solitude, surviving being called crazy and lied on, and people talking shit on you, and people not getting what the fuck you're doing and what process you have been called to go on. Like just surviving this is already hard. This is damn near the fucking humiliation ritual. You got to get jumped into the gang that is being able to accept yourself and further beyond that, express yourself. And the people that you meet on this side, the friends that you make on this side, I call them soul tribe because these are people that align with your authentic soul and your ability to express that. Forgive me. They appreciate your ability to express that, be that, and then from all the things that you get for being the authentic you, you get to share with these guys and bless these people with the people that align, again, with that soul. Not people that just align with you because you're both broke or you're both fucking alcoholics or you're both freaking serial cheaters. No. Or you're both white. No. Align with people who align with your destiny, with the pace that you're on in this life, and you'll never feel behind. You'll never feel like you're not doing enough. You'll never feel like you're doing too much. You will only ever feel more inspired and more motivated, inspired from within, motivated from outside, to hold true to who you are, the climax of life and death, of animal and divine, the human soul complex. And you've been given the responsibility to express that as uniquely, as proudly, as confidently as you can in this experience. And why would you sacrifice that, bro, for a little bit of shame? Or to prevent yourself from feeling a little bit of shame? in a world that fucking hates themselves. A world full of people that hate themselves. Why would you add on to that? Why would you add on to the group of people who don't love themselves and the gifts, the unique gifts and identities and traits they've been blessed with on this planet? You know you deserve to be more than that shit. Stop even going from here and going back that way too. Once you close the door to your old life, these people have to go on their own journey so they can meet you on this side. Because if you can meet people from this side of your life that were holding you back from accessing this, if you meet them back on this side, there's a better chance that they gaslight you out of this identity back into this old life. And now you have them ripping you from yourself again, being held over your head. And these people will definitely hold you tighter now because now they have like psychosis or something to hold over your head. You traumatized me by leaving us and by thinking you're better than us, huh? You think you're better than us? Type shit. But if these people really want more for themselves, which hopefully you wanting more for yourself inspires them to feel, they will go on their own journey and they can meet you right here. And if maybe you misjudged who they were, they aren't one of these people, you just never really got them. Somebody who's healthy would love to see you grow into a version of yourself that you can truly accept, because everybody knows that's the foundation of authentic self-expression. And we need a little bit more of that in this society. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. If you want to connect with me, I'm going to leave some links to my social medias and whatnots around. Again, CosmicNomadsRebelSouls.shop. Go ahead, catch you some gear. Rep the team. I love you. Do you love me? Peace. I'll catch y'all later.